and give us a quick rundown on who you are to the project, as well as just give us a quick summary overview of what the project's trying to accomplish.
For sure. Real quick, if anybody's interested, we're streaming on Twitch. I don't know, Jonathan, Johnny, did you put that up? Yeah. So if people wanna, I'll be uh sharing like complimentary visual resources. It might help if anybody's interested. All right, so a little
EQ Poppy.
background. So,
I'm sorry, real quick. EQ Poppy is restreaming the Twitch stream here in the
oh, cool.
Discord server as well. If anyone wants to watch it through the restream, go ahead.
Excellent.
I'm sorry about that.
Excellent. All right, so a little background on me. I'm a character designer by trade. Basically worked many years in games and short films, and that's kind of my training. I quickly moved on from production to start being more involved in management. I think I was always like really attracted to the final result, and I felt like my designs really didn't matter at the end of the day unless it looked great in the game. And that kind of led me down an amazing rabbit hole of just like a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunities as well. I really started growing very quickly, kind of in the art service space. I kind of recognized there was a huge shift in the industry, and that a lot of the art for games was going to be getting outsourced. So instead of working at kind of like one of these bigger AAA studios, I started working with some service studios in Asia, which were growing very quickly at the time. And that led me to start my own team in Argentina. I realized that like the final product has a lot to do with how the team is run, what the culture is like, how salaries are paid, just everything, right? It's like a final result is so much bigger than what it seems to be at the beginning. It's just like a sum of all of its parts. And we started off a small team here in Argentina with 5 people, with the objective of becoming the best character team for video games. Basically, we make characters for realistic video games. And in 5 years, I think we achieved it. We started off being like 5 people, and now we're close to 100. And we're probably one of the biggest teams in the world right now, solely dedicated to realistic characters for video games. And about like around August, we announced to the whole team that we were going to be shifting from just doing art services to developing our own products, and we were going to use the NFT space. We're going to kind of I don't like the word to use, the NFT space, but we're going to basically try to be part of the NFT space, and we thought it would be a perfect fit for what we're doing. It took us like a year to make up our minds, because it was pretty scary. To be honest, we were really developing like a product for game developers, and we're like, this product could actually be amazing if we made it a B2C product. And with everything that's happening in technology and in the blockchain and in NFTs, it seemed like the perfect time. But it's very scary as a big company, not a big company, but as have a lot of bills to pay. It's a little scary. But yeah, we took the dive in August last year, and here we are, about to drop our first Cypher collection of metaverse ready avatars with AAA graphic quality, completely decentralized and ready to rock and roll. So that would be the elevator pitch. A long elevator ride, but that's basically it.
I love it. No, a long elevator ride's worth it. But my question to you, kind of before we get started into the project, is what gives you guys the credit here? So give us a little bit about things that you've done in the past, some games maybe that kind of give you guys because a lot of people are like, oh, we're gonna make these 3D graphics that are gonna be video game quality.
For sure.
What stands you guys? What stands apart from you guys more so than some random project from some team
For sure.
in the space?
Yeah, well, we've been in the trenches for a minute now. Yeah, so these are some of the projects. I'm sharing my screen here, but I'm showing a screen with some of our favorite Mortal Kombat characters that we worked on. So these are characters from our childhood. Spawn, being able to design what he was gonna look like. They gave us basically just like, hey guys, you guys figured out, and we gave some proposals and they liked it. Working on Terminator, Hellboy, it's been basically, it's like your childhood dream. So yeah, we've worked on like Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Gotham Knights, Assassin's Creed, Street Fighter. There's uh, a new Harry Potter game just announced that it's going to be announcing that we worked with them as well in the early stages of design. So yeah, there's a couple other projects that we're working on this year that will be coming out. So I think, yeah, we've been in the trenches. We've had to deliver at a high level for many years now. The game industry, especially the service side of the game industry, is brutal. It's extremely competitive. Um, and we've been able to survive and thrive. So yeah, I feel that our team is basically ready to take anything on it, and I actually do believe that we're pretty much one of the best teams in the space. Um, so like as far as like production capabilities, if you said, hey, you'd have to go toe to toe with like Fortnite and produce more content than they do, I think we could do it at this stage. So I think that's where like the confidence in what we do and in our team. Um, the turn on our team is lower than a 10%, which is very low for the entertainment industry, games and films. Turn is normally more like in the 80s. We only have like a 10%, and that speaks to kind of like the quality of people working here, and the quality of the experience of working, and it's a very hard thing to accomplish, right? To build a company and a team where people enjoy working and they want to stay, and even in such a competitive market as the game industry.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and I mean, I've played most of these games, honestly, so it's cool to be talking to someone that's been responsible for some of the work in those games. So love to hear that. Can you tell us a little bit more about the project? Yeah, Cipher. So obviously, Collider Craftworks is got the Genesis Collection Cipher. Can you tell us a little bit more about
For
that
sure.
and what we can expect?
Okay, yeah, Juanito here is telling me to reload the stream from Twitch. It doesn't seem to be showing the latest. Are you guys getting it now?
Also, did you want to try to do this in like a PowerPoint kind of style where you kind of just go
Uh,
slide to slide? If I'm
no,
skipping too much,
no, not
please.
necessarily. I was just gonna go over here. Sometimes like the follow up question to like what we're like who we were. I'm like just wanting to keep it super conversational, but maybe it's useful to people to kind of. I think somebody's past tells you a lot about what their future is going to be. So yeah, this is just a little bit like a couple maybe interesting data points for maybe some people that are more like technically or financially minded. Um, Basically, yeah, just I want to just maybe tell you guys a little bit about us. So basically, like the team has
Go
been
for it.
growing like steadily for the last 5 years, like a 30%. So that's where I think kind of the sweet spot is. Um, Kind of growing between like no lower than a 20%, and if you go too much higher over 30%, sometimes growth can get a little unmanageable. But basically been running a profitable business without any debt. And yeah, we've already like reinvested more than $2.5 million into this, in what you're going to see now, and not only the Cipher collection but really the technology that allows it to be possible. All right, so let's just move on over here. All right, so yeah, so just to get started, the Cipher collection is basically like an homage to the cypherpunk kind of movement, and it takes place in a this kind of dystopian cyberpunk world, but we wanted to keep it kind of fun and light, and a little goofy too, because I think it represents a little who we are. Besides the gritty and the dark side, kind of the silliness and the nonsense as well. And it's composed of 5 different factions. This collection. And so you have the hyper faction, and as you guys can see, you're going to have 3 different hold on a second here. We have 3 different classes. So you have the pioneers, which are these guys right here in the undies, because who doesn't want to run around in the metaverse in their undies? And then you have, so the pioneers are going to be 50% of the supply. Can you guys see my stream okay? Jonathan's here is asking.
I'm in your link tree and I'm able to see it, so I'm going to paste that in here
Okay.
just in case someone doesn't can't see it on the other stream.
Yeah, because what Juanito's saying that his streaming has to get refreshed apparently. The
EQ
one
Poppy,
that
if you're
EQ is streaming, yeah, it's saying it's.
to refresh that.
Anyways,
But
so
if
then we
anyone's just
have
watching on Twitch, you should be able to see it.
yeah, so we have okay, so the Pioneer is a 50% of the supply, then you have the Hero, which is 35% of the supply, and then you have the Icon, which is a 15% of the supply, and then you're gonna have your Legendary, which we haven't shown yet. We haven't revealed them yet. So basically each faction has these three classes. And as you can see, as the rarity goes up, so does the amount of content that they wear. So like the real world value as far as like digital assets also goes up. So it's not only the rarity, but then also they're valued also by the amount of content and 3D assets that they wear. So these are the factions. You have the Rad Kids are basically inspired by motorsports and extreme sports. The Outlaws, it's a lot of like the I would say kind of like westerns and you know the run-in kind of inspiration there. Bandit culture. Then you have Prototypes, which are very much inspired by these films where kids were these kids that were kind of scientific and military black op kind of experiments and were experimented on and to become killing machines, and then at some point they just said fuck it all, and now they've gone rogue. And then you have the Chosen, which are very much inspired in secret societies and kind of people working behind the scenes. What all these factions have in common is that they're dissenting in one way or another with the powers that be, which is part of the storyline that we're going to go developing over time. But that's basically the collection. And as you can see here, this is the rarity structure again, as I mentioned. And this is the first drop is only half of the collection, which is 3,890 pieces. And then the second half of the collection are going to be the female ciphers, which we haven't revealed yet. But that's going to be pretty exciting. So we've split up, and it's a little strange, but we split up our collection into two. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Some people advise us against it, but the reason we're doing it is just for like production reasons. It was just easier to produce half of it, get it to the public, and then produce the other half.
I was gonna say, don't listen to the people that give you feedback, man. Sometimes it's bad feedback. And apologize if you hear squeaky toys in the background. I'm a stay-at-home dog dad, so
all right,
got dogs flying around the back.
Yeah, I was about to tell Juanito to stop goofing around in the back. I had no idea what was going on.
I run a clown school. No, but that's awesome. Love to see that, and love to hear about the two different collections coming out. So what date are we looking at for this collection?
Okay, so this collection is actually, I'm going to jump over here where we have kind of the so people can kind of visualize the. Oh no, do I have it over here? Sorry about this. This is just so people can like visualize this really easily. So our mint is now the 20th, so we're just a couple days away, and then the reveal is the 30th of June. And what we're going to have in the middle is access to a pre-alpha demo of the visual wallet and a pre-alpha demo of the Moshpit, which is a game that we're developing. So I think it's kind of cool. Like during the wait before the reveal, people are actually going to be able to test out the tools and the games that we're developing, and hopefully that should build a lot of confidence in what we're doing. And then the actual 3D avatar delivery. So these avatars are actually going to, physically have them and be able to use them. Sorry, not physically. It's all digital, but you're actually going to have access to your avatar and be able to. It's completely decentralized. It's on chain, and you can just do whatever you want with it. Throw it into the Unreal Engine, whatever. We're aiming to have that by the 30th of August, and then somewhere in Q3 we're going to do the second drop, which is a female drop. And we're also going to be revealing the new collection that we're working on. So we're going to probably be doing 2 collections a year. We're going to be revealing the new collection, which is a horror themed collection, also in Q3. So that's kind of our the big milestones we have ahead of us.
Right on. So would you say that these are? Would you say that the more important thing to take away from this is that, hey, these are your 3D owned asset, avatars, or more so that, hey, we're building a game that these are going to be kind of substituted in, or would you kind of say both are more important?
It's all important. I'll show you something real
Sure.
cool. Yeah, I think one of the big challenges we have here is here. Let me show this. Is kind of communicating what we're doing because it's a lot, right? So at the very basic level, we're creating next generation avatars that are completely compatible with the Unreal Engine that use the metahuman skeleton, which means that all of a sudden you're opening up the door for thousands of developers all over the world to be able to make games and experiences where your avatar is going to function, right? So this is at the very simplest level. We're creating an avatar that it's going to belong to you, and you're going to be able to put in the Unreal Engine, and people are going to be able to make games and connect it to your avatar, right? So that's at like the very fundamental level. The next stage to that is what you guys are seeing here, is what we're calling the visual wallet. So we believe that, you know, this metaverse, this virtual reality, this virtual world is something that will happen, and everyone's gonna need their avatar, right? Like the same thing as, you know, a computer in every home, or everyone needs a car or whatever it is. Everyone's going to need an avatar. Everyone's going to need some sort of virtual representation, and it's going to need a function on some sort of like industry standard, which we believe is definitely going to end up being the Unreal Engine. And this needs to be interoperable, and people are going to need some way to be able to see what they own. So OpenSea is in a great place for that, right? If you have an avatar and you want to switch clothes around and buy and sell stuff and, you know, test it on your avatar, you can't do that on OpenSea. So that's what we're building, this visual wallet, so you can, you know, basically visualize your avatar, store your digital goods, and buy them and sell them and stake them, whatever you want to do with them, and then use it as a launchpad into games and experiences. Some of them will be made by us. Some of them will be made by third parties, hopefully. We get contacted all the time by people either developing experiences for, you know, sport franchises, musical experiences, all sorts of stuff being done on the Unreal Engine. So we believe there's going to be a massive demand for a robust avatar solution for users, and this is what we're building here. So this is really kind of like the meat and bones of what we're really doing as a company. And these avatars are collector's items, and this is just basically our first kind of introduction into the market. And people will be able to use them in the games that we make, and hopefully other people will be making as well.
Excellent. I love that. I love that kind of open source feel of. Do you know of any kind of projects who are close to having a working product that these would be usable for, or is it
For
all
sure.
just kind of like we're waiting to see?
Yeah, so for sure. So there's actually a couple that I just dumped. So we have one of our avatars called a crash dummy. We have it up so people from our own community can see how easy it is to build games. Kind of like our thesis is the same way, you know, content creators, let's say on YouTube, became, you know, technically more sophisticated. You know, it started off with like, you know, terrible pixelated, you know, homemade videos to some really professional productions. We believe the same thing is going to happen here, right? Interactive content creation is going to become easier and easier to make, and creators are going to become more and more sophisticated. And that's what we're trying to do with our community. So there's already people in our community making games with these avatars. And then there's other game developers that have put our avatars into their game. Well, like My Pet Hooligan, when we got to know them, they were like, hey, so you're doing an Unreal? And you're like, yeah. Literally 2 days later, they had our avatars running around with the rabbits, because it's all set up to work perfectly in Unreal. So all the animation sets inside of Unreal, so you can basically work. So you basically put your avatar in there, and you can already start running around shooting things, and it's really plug and play. So yeah, I definitely think there's a handful of projects right now as we're talking that are developing on the Unreal Engine where they would just be able to plug into our avatars.
That's so cool. No, just being able to see that live is kind of dope. Kind of dope might be a little underwhelming, but really dope. Love that. So let's go back to the mint date. So we're coming up here 2 days. Mint cost 0.5. What had you guys stop on that mint price of 0.5 ETH?
Well, you know, now that we're kind of entering Web3, we thought it would be really important to you know, get the bag And no, just kidding. So
I was like, wow, he's being honest. I love it.
no, actually, we've actually spent a quite a bit of time and money already investing in this, and yeah, kind of like what we're doing is like orders of magnitude different as far as like production costs, and also I think production value, right? So if you think like any NFT project and you were to go get it made by somebody, like, hey, could you make me this image? You know, most of them would probably be under $500, right? If you were to go get a 3D avatar that's fully rigged and skinned and you know, next gen quality, and you go get it made at a production house, it's probably going to cost you around like $20,000 minimum, and then from there on up. So like most games are spending something around like $80,000, $50,000 on their main characters. So there's like real world production value in what we're going to be delivering. So yeah, we wanted to find a price that was accessible to our community, and at the same time was viable for us as a company to keep on producing all of this content and reinvesting into what we're doing, right? Because the idea is not just to make one project and go, right? We're going to keep on making more content, developing the visual wallet, games. So that's kind of a price that we landed on. Actually, originally we landed on a target of $1,500, and we told everybody like, hey, this is kind of our price target. And at that time, it was like 0.5 ETH. So we told everyone this will change if the markets change. Then there was this big kind of moment of unrest and upheaval, and we decided just to leave it at 0.5, even though it's quite a bit under what we were targeting. Mainly just because we were very thoughtful and we wanted to be thoughtful of our community and everyone's situation. So yeah, that's kind of is basically production cost and yeah, basically I think that's our kind of the main reason for the price.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that, and I know that's not necessarily the easiest question to answer. And
No, but
I
it's
kind of have another
important.
question.
It's really important.
Oh
Like
yeah,
our community was asking for months, and we were holding off months from giving the price because I was like, man, like who knows what the market's going to look like a month, 2 months from now. And that's why we just finally came out and said, look, this is our price target, and we'll see what happens. And yeah, effectively something did happen, but we're really confident in the long-term vision as well. And so yeah.
and I love the project specifically because I think with a lot of NFTs, people say like, why are NFTs important? Why are they useful? They're not. They're just, you know, they're nothing. And I think that everyone keeps going to, well, like think of skins in games, think of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being able to use avatars in games, and I think that's an example that gets brought up a lot, but there's not a lot of people who are actually doing that. My question to you is, like, do you see it as a trend to keep the costs the way they are when, like, for instance, when we're playing Fortnite, obviously we don't get to own that skin, but it is attached to our account. And, you know, we're paying $15, $20 for that skin versus in the metaverse when you get to own your own skin. And we're talking like $1,000 or more. What do you think the difference is there? And can you kind of like differentiate the thought process there as well?
For sure. Yeah, I think the way we see it, we're kind of we see ourselves with two main offerings. One offering is the collector's items, and what's special about these items is that they're limited, very limited, and each one has to be unique in nature. And these items will probably always have like a higher price. And then what we're thinking about the visual wallet is more what you would expect to see at a store, right? When you walk in, you want to buy yourself a pair of jeans or whatever. But instead of there only being 3,000 of these pants, there's maybe 10,000 of them. It will still be limited in some way or other because you're really talking about, at that point, maybe a user base of millions of users, right? You go, oh, we have 100,000 of these sneakers, or so the price is much lower, but there's a much higher supply. At the same time, you also want to be very thoughtful of collectors, and you know that there is a massive demand by collectors who want rare items and are willing to pay for them, and their price. Basically, the way you see it is that if you grow as a business and this whole metaverse vision actually comes to life, these will be very valuable and sought after items. So you want to kind of balance those two things. So what we're probably going to be doing is each collection is basically collector's items. So our next collection is going to be a horror themed collection, which I think people are going to love. It's amazing, and I think a lot of people are going to want to own it. But there will only be a certain amount. It will be very limited, right? But somebody can still jump onto the visual wallet, make a cool character, and jump into the game and play and meet with these characters. And maybe one day they'll be like, "Hey, I'm willing to put down some serious capital to acquire one of these because I just really like it or whatever." So we're trying to kind of hit those two demographics. But I agree with you that there needs to be kind of like this consumer good, yeah, basically just accessible pricing, what you would expect to see in the real world, right? For this to really like start hitting like millions, when you're talking about like, you know, millions of users, and it needs to be accessible.
And I think that there's a big detractor in the video gaming community because they see this. They're like, oh my God, these things are worth so much ridiculous money for no reason. Like, I feel like the application sometimes can come off as, hey, like this is like the future. Like you can own your own skins and take those to different games. But then when they see how much money people paid for it, they kind of go, look, whoa. But obviously, we're new here. These are new things. And like you mentioned, collectability. There's so many collectible different things in CS:GO and Fortnite too that are worth a ton of money, but you can't take that with you into another game. So I totally get that, and I appreciate you answering that.
Yeah,
question.
and also it's not minor. It's not minor. People have lost their skins because whatever the developers, for whatever reason, felt that they were justified in taking them away. I mean, Vitaly has that famous story about how he lost his skins in World of Warcraft. And this is a real thing. People have lost a lot of money because at the end of the day, you don't own it, and it's also not limited. So those are like two real important factors, because as a game developer, I can just be like, oh, I'm going to emit as many of these skins as I want. So if I sell 100,000, if I sell 200,000, it doesn't matter, right? And then on the other side, as a creator, I'm like, oh, I'm only going to make 3,850, let's say, and each one has to be unique, and I can't make more of them. They're just two completely different things, right? And then it's to the player or the user to decide if the value really makes sense for them, right? If that price point makes sense for them. So and then it's your job to just make them as cool as possible, and kind of create these kind of tools where you give them as much utility as possible, where they're like, hey, it's worth spending this amount of money because I'm going to be inside of an ecosystem with hundreds of thousands of players. I'm going to be unique. I have something nobody else has, and I can use it in all of these different places. Or even things like in the visual wallet we didn't really discuss, but you'll be able to connect it to your wallet, which means you'll be able to bring in NFTs that you own and place it onto your clothing, right? So, and that also adds more value to, there's just a lot of things that we need to do as creators for it to make sense, and for it not just to seem like some ridiculous trend that's like, oh yeah, these crazy people off in NFT land are completely disconnected,
No, I completely agree with that, because I'm a gamer myself, and I am in a ton of gaming communities, and every day I just see like posts like the crypto community has taken a hit, maybe NFTs will die finally, and just like all these like really negative opinions on gaming, and it just makes me think, it's like, I honestly think that NFTs and gaming have a very positive effect on people, and I think that it is the future in terms of democratization of your digital assets and things like that. So I'm always curious when I talk to game developers in the NFT space, what their opinions on there. So I really do appreciate that. My next question was going to be, let's talk a little bit about Moshpit.
Sure.
It looks like a battle royale kind of demo that you guys are doing. Can you go into a little bit more detail of that?
Yeah, for sure. Let me see if I was just showing. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on here. But basically, when I stream, we're getting like really bad. So unfortunately, you guys can't see it in all its Unreal 5 glory, but I can get started. All right. So what this is that, yeah, this is a battle royale death match. And we're calling it the Moshpit. But basically, the Moshpit, the concept is that they're mini games that are very fun to play. You can jump in for 5-10 minutes, have a blast, extremely like high energy, and we're probably gonna have different kind of game experiences. And so this is the first one is gonna be a third person shooter. And the idea is so these games are things that we can develop in a short amount of time. So we're not like 2 years developing this insane game, but they're smaller games that then afterwards other people in our community can also potentially mod. The way we see ourselves is more as kind of infrastructure and not so much like, okay, we're going to create all of the content. We want to create tools, technology, and assets for other people to also be able to create content with, right? So this is going to be the first game experience with the ideas that other people can also make games and connect it to our visual wallet. So with the Moshpit, some really cool things we were able to do recently is we were able to port everything onto Unreal Engine 5. So we have all of the lumen lighting, which is just gorgeous. And also Epic just released a bunch of source code from Fortnite. So basically you have years and years of development being released to the public. Which just kind of reaffirms our belief in building on top of Epic and everything that they're developing. So we were able to use a lot of the some great stuff for the networking. Some we were able to build on top of some of the AI stuff that we liked. So yeah, basically the game is basically going to feel, it's going to have all the best practices of a next gen shooter experience. So yeah, we're really excited about that, and people will be able to demo this before the reveal. So people are going to have anybody who owns a cipher is going to be able to demo the Moshpit and demo the visual wallet before reveal. And we thought this would be really important so people can actually really get a sense of what they're investing their time and their money into.
Awesome. Thank you for explaining
And,
that.
and in the
Looks
Moshpit, there's
really
one
cool.
thing that we're still figuring out is what the reward system is going to be like. If they're going to be like in-game credits, then afterwards you can trade for other things. If it's going to be more leaderboard based. So I think for now, the objective for now in this first demo is for us to have a leaderboard, and the people at the top of the leaderboard will get airdropped some like legendary helmets and stuff. So we're still kind of figuring out what the reward system is going to be, but we definitely want people to feel like it was a good investment of their time. Besides having fun, we want people to be able to have a good time and also take home some tasty rewards.
Love that. So this is the kind of the part of the conversation where I just like to get some more fan submitted questions, some more Discord submitted questions. But before and this is a year all's cue to start asking some questions. There may or may not be some incentives later on that pay out. So just FYI, wink, wink. But before we get to those questions, I want to just ask if there's any kind of like last minute takeaways you want anyone who's kind of listening to this and watching this conversation to kind of take away with the project, and maybe some things that maybe we didn't touch on that you wanted to make sure everyone walked away with saying, oh, this is what Cypher is going to be.
Yeah, I think anybody who's interested in coming to this collection, I think what you're doing here is you're making a bet on a team who's dedicated the major part of their professional careers in building avatars, and have an extensive experience in very complex customization systems, and are building technology that has the potential of really being essential infrastructure for the virtual worlds that people are going to be experiencing over the next 5 years. And I think at the end of the day, you kind of ask yourself some like basic questions, right? Do I believe in this metaverse idea? Do I believe there's going to be some sort of virtual world where people will spend most of their time? Yes or no? All right. Do I believe that virtual representation, some sort of avatar, is going to be essential for those people in that world? Will they want some sort of avatar experience, some sort of virtual representation? Yes or no? Great. Once you've answered those two questions, then you go, okay, what companies are positioned to be competitive in this space? There's only a handful of them. Who has a track record, who has basically the experience, and who can actually deliver on this, and who's already coming into Web3. And then you make your bet, right? Because whatever company or companies those are, they're going to be extremely profitable, like ridiculously profitable. I mean, just think about like all the clothing that's being sold in the real world, like physical items. Now imagine that in the digital world. right? And it just like think of stuff like this. For example, you're a musical artist and you want to get into Web3, you want to, or do something with NFTs. You want to do some sort of a merch drop for your fans, and you're like, hey, I want to make 1,000 cool jackets, or 1,000 cool jackets, 10,000 cool jackets, and some sneakers. You're not going to get a Nike deal. There's literally hundreds of thousands of musical artists and athletes that are not going to get a Nike deal, but it'd be really easy for them to release something to their fans with us. They don't need to know anything about NFTs, communities, Web3. They don't need to do jack shit. We can make it for them, put it up on the visual wallet, and all of a sudden you have millions of new users from one day to another. Buying, selling the merch, interacting with the content, interacting with the creators, going into some virtual music video, and then jumping into other games and stuff. So like whoever can really figure this out is going to have a big impact. And that's kind of the bet you're making. It's like, well, do I believe, these guys have a shot at this or not? There's only a handful of us. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think talking to you and seeing your product that you guys might be more equipped than most to pull it off. So I love that. Great. Well, we have a few questions here from the audience, and we'll go ahead and get to that. One was this holding and staking for reward systems. I don't know if we did brush up on that or if it was explained, but if it was, do you mind just giving us a little bit of a rundown on what that looks like?
for sure. So yeah, we're not really calling it staking, but I guess you could. Basically, what we're doing is we basically have two kind of target audiences. One are people who've been with us from the very beginning, and then two are other people who are coming into our collection, right? So basically, it's all based off of the amount of time or the amount of assets that you're holding, right? So for example, if you're with us from day one, we're going to be taking a snapshot of the wallet. So if you're holding an original avatar with the original IP, ID in the first 48 hours, you're going to have a guaranteed spot for drop 2. And then, as you can see here, for example, for the first airdrop, if you can either be holding one avatar, or you can have held an avatar for a month. And then the next one, you're either holding an avatar for 2 months, or you own 2 avatars to have access to the next airdrop. So every month we're going to be doing airdrops, either with weapons, gear, and then also whitelists, right? So after 3 months, if you're holding something, you're going to be legible for 750 spots. And then we're also going to be doing physical collectibles. And the same thing goes, just like every month that goes by, you either have that same amount of avatars. So either I own 3 avatars, I own 4 avatars, or I've been holding an avatar for 4 months. So that's basically the way we're balancing the rewards for people who are really supporting the project and really believe in what we're doing. But at the same time, it's like, we don't want to this is not really in the essence who we are. Like what we're building and the value prop that we're really delivering is much bigger than this. This is just something cool that we're doing as a way of giving back and adding short-term value to people who are supporting us. And I know maybe short-term value sounds weird, 3 months, like in the NFT space, but as an investor, maybe if you'd be thinking more like in 1-2 years or something like that. But yeah, so it's kind of like a fun thing that we're doing. Being inside of the NFT space, kind of, just being part of the space and doing cool stuff that people are accustomed to and receiving this space. But the real value we're delivering is going to be in the technology and the experience that we're developing. And then, further down, we do want to have, professional investment opportunities for people who want to come in. And I think once we have the marketplace up and running, there's going to be some incredible opportunities for people who want to really see this thing take off. And we're going to be opening those opportunities up for people who supported us from day one, right? So, we don't want to get into the whole, like, too deep into, what that means yet, but there will be some really great opportunities. And as I was mentioning, like, if you just think about a marketplace with these kind of capabilities, you can kind of get an idea of where this is headed, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I love that it's all listed out right there too. So appreciate that answer. Next question is from Leon. Leon's asking, is the Moshpit exclusive to Cypher holders? And when would normies get to play the Moshpit? And if normies get to play eventually, what would be the advantage for Cypher holders in that game or ecosystem?
For sure. Yeah. So At the beginning, it will only the visual wallet and the Moshpit will only be available to people who own an avatar or a cipher, and this is going to allow us to really make all the adjustments needed, especially when you're talking about the network and multiplayer and all these kind of things. You kind of want to work inside of a contained environment where you're not talking about millions of users. Once that's all set up and everything's functioning, the idea is to open it up slowly to the public. And as I was mentioning, the real kind of advantage or value proposition for original holders or people who hold an avatar is that they're holding a collector's item. As I was mentioning before, the collector's items are going to be very few, right? So you're talking about, whatever it is, 7,890 pieces, right? Per collection. So as you start having more users in this ecosystem, those collector's items will go up in value, because if you're playing a game, for example, and you see somebody running around with like this cool cipher suit and you're like, oh, I would love to have one of those. Well, there's going to be more of a demand for the collector's items, but the normies, as they were saying, will still have access to really cool stuff like cool pants and jackets, but they'll just never have access to the collector's items, right? And this is, I mean, you can see a lot of fashion brands that have their kind of like their consumer good line, and then they also have like their collector's editions, right? So anybody holding one of these kind of NFT avatars are going to be holding a collector's item, which, if we are successful in what we're doing, they should be pretty valuable.
Definitely.
Please feel
Great.
free to
Thank you for
give me
answering
a
that.
follow-up question, if you feel I didn't cover it well, or
No, no, you did. I thought you
yeah,
did great. I explained. I thought you explained that really well. So thank you for
just
that. The only other follow-up question.
yeah, just
Go ahead.
a little more nuance to that. We're also, as you guys saw when I was showing the visual wallet here, I'm just gonna open this up again just in case. Sorry guys, just 1 second here. There we go. So something that's also really important, as you can see here, this is our character creation tool. So everything here is editable, but your avatar will be locked in, except the helmets, the headwear. So basically glasses, helmets, masks, and gear. So basically backpacks and melee weapons like the katanas or swords or whatever. And this is kind of like the sweet spot that we're finding, where we're allowing users to edit their characters and at the same time retain the collector value, right? Because if I allow, like if a user is allowed to just switch anything out, and then I go, hey, I want to buy a cipher from the original 2002 collection, and then but then I'm not sure, like, oh, did he swap out the pants and the shoes? So then does that take away from the value? And it will become very confusing for collectors. So we kind of want to lock in the value of the original item and still allow collectors to be able to edit things. So basically that's why we're allowing you to change anything in the headgear. So like if you get an airdrop, and you can get a cool helmet, you'll be able to use it on your avatar, but you won't be able to switch out the clothes and the footwear and the like. And this is the way of kind of balancing customization and holding its original value.
Dope. That, I mean, the wallet looks amazing, and I love that idea of again the avatar being the same, but being able to add on certain things to make it look the way you want it to. So love that. The last question I have for you from the audience is, what's the final vision for the game that you guys are hoping to develop for it? Like, are you guys looking to do a battle royale, or are you considering something more open world like? Was the question from Lord Marlborough.
Right now, our I talk to the short term value, the short term objective and the long term objective. Short term objective is for us to have a finished game, which is fun to play, where you win rewards, where you can play for a short amount of time and still feel like you had a good time. You don't have to spend hours and hours playing before the end of the year, right? So somewhere between like Q3, we want to have an alpha out, and then by the end of the year, have everyone up and playing. So the objective is for it to have a finished game. And as I said, like the whole experience should be a AAA experience. The difference between us and maybe like what you would see in a AAA title is the scale of the game, right? That's the short-term goal. Long-term goal is for us to be able to do two things. One of them is to grow our development team so we can make more of these experiences. They're probably always going to stay kind of smaller. We don't want to fall into this trap of doing like these 3-4 year development cycles, even 2-year development cycles. Every game we produce, we're probably going to want to keep it at least within a year. And as we grow, if we have enough people, then you make 2 development teams. So the 2 teams are working on 2 games. So you'd be releasing 2 games that year. And if you can keep on growing, then you have 3 teams developing 3 games that year. But we believe like this model of spending 3-4 years building a game is kind of broken. And that's not the direction we're going to be going. So as a company, that's how we're going to scale our team. And then the second objective is to open this up to developers outside of our company. So there is an ecosystem built with a reward structure and rev share models for developers that are very attractive. So they don't have to make the characters. They don't need to spend years in development. They don't need to do advertisement. They don't need to build a community. They just have to build a really good game and plug it into our visual wallet. And that's going to be the other side of our development that we're going to be focusing on, right? Where we're building kind of a network effect and not just going, oh, we're going to build the metaverse. We're not. We're going to hopefully be part of the metaverse and support the metaverse with this kind of technology and tools.
Understood. Yeah, no, and I hear from gamers all the time saying that, like, hey, we would much rather, play shorter games or like smaller games than waiting for like 4, 5, 6 years, 8 years sometimes for these AAA titles. Like, so I love that's the mentality for you guys, is to create kind of like really high quality, like smaller type games with the assets you're creating. So love that concept.
Yeah,
But
and if you do hit on a really great idea, you just double down on that, and then you can go releasing DLC for that game. You can go releasing new levels. You can go expanding on that game, but it's always within these kind of shorter production cycles. And then you can also adapt to technology much faster. Like, I believe we're going to be able to kind of onboard technology a lot faster than AAA developers, because basically we don't have these long development cycles. So we'll be able to onboard new technology much faster than them. So I believe that we're going to be at the forefront of like the best tools and practices and technology when it comes to characters for games.
amazing. I love your all's vision. I love your talking to you. It seems like you know exactly what you guys want and what you do. You didn't get slipped up with any of the questions I asked. So I love that. It seems like you guys have the right heads on your shoulders. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what happens here. But that's all the questions that the community has. It's all the questions that I have. Is there any kind of last thing that you wanted to say before we call this a day?
Yeah, just to thank you guys. Thank you guys for having us on. We feel incredibly privileged and yeah, grateful to have so much support coming in. Since we're not really from the NFT space, we kind of felt a little awkward and like, oh, everyone's gonna think we're a bunch of boomers or something. But yeah, we received like incredibly warm welcome, and just this, for example, you guys opening up your community and so many other communities also giving us a warm welcome, and we've just felt incredibly supported and grateful and super excited to be here, really. So just thank you guys for having us on and sorting this out with short notice, and yeah, just excited to do this again. And yeah. Oh, I have one last thing to show you guys if you guys want to see something fun. This isn't public yet, but I can give you guys a sneak peek of what the minting site is going to look like. So
in the NFT space, we call it alpha.
All right. You guys a little alpha. So I think Jonathan needs to share my screen. So I just got this yesterday. So this is the minting site, and this is what people are going to be minting. So when you mint, you're going to get one of these helmets. So this is using GLTF, which is now supported on OpenSea. So when you mint, you're going to get one of these 5 helmets, which is going to let you know what faction you own. And there's a lot of hardcore fans. So we think that there's going to be a lot of fun trading going on before the reveal. And I think it'll be pretty cool for people to see their... Holy moly, some cats are fighting on top of the roof. I think it's going to be really fun for people to see these on OpenSea. And yeah, so really excited about what's around the corner.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Quick question someone had is, how do they get on the whitelist?
Oh, I think there's an opportunity like literally right now, right around the
I have
corner.
an opportunity.
It looks
Or rather,
like, yeah, like literally right now. I think we were very, very tight. Oof, man, you have no idea. There's blood running on the streets for these whitelists, but we set aside 3 whitelists for this beautiful, wonderful, amazing community that has opened their doors to us. So we're going to be giving out 3 whitelists, and we will let you guys figure out how you guys want to distribute them, if they're given to the people who ask the smartest questions, or if you guys want to do a raffle, whatever you guys want to do. We'll be setting aside 3 of them, and the whitelist for this drop are all out, but we will be starting the whitelist process for the second drop of the cipher collection. As I said, our cipher collection is split up into 2, so we have all the female ciphers that are yet to be revealed, and we're also going to be giving out Discord invites, so you guys can join the Discord, become a faction member, and start earning some cred and getting those whitelists. So those are two ways you guys can go about that.
love that. I was gonna say, because we actually have already given out the whitelists that no one knows about it yet.
Oh,
But
okay.
Pocket, Leon, and Lord Marlborough for asking questions. You guys got the 3 whitelist spots. So really do appreciate you guys giving that over to us. And this has been an awesome talk. I cannot wait for this project. Can't wait to see what happens with you guys. I'm very, very excited for the tech and the just the utility that you guys bring to the community that I don't think anyone's bringing right now. So thank you very much for your time, and thanks everyone for joining and listening.
Yeah. We can't promise success or failure, but we can promise we'll make it entertaining. It'll be a hell of a ride. So you guys are all welcome to the show. All right, guys. Appreciate you, and talk soon.
See ya.
All right. Hasta luego.